Hello and welcome to Cindershadow Gaming. I am your host Cindershadow, and today I have a confession to make. Well, you guys know me in the channel. I'm an avid Magic the Gathering player, a gamer. I play a lot of other games. Like recently it's Binding of Isaac, Phasmophobia, some Minecraft and stuff like that. But I've also dabbled in other games. I even kind of looked at the World of Warcraft card game, mainly because I used to play World of Warcraft. I used to play League of Legends. I used to play a lot other games. But Magic the Gathering is the one thing that has kind of stuck with me most of my life. Yeah, I took a hiatus, but I did return to it back after some time away from it, focusing on life changes and stuff like that. And Magic the Gathering, if it wasn't for that, I probably would never have played Dungeons and Dragons. And Dungeons and Dragons was one of the outlets that I used to play with my friends on, your Friday and Saturday evening. As a teenager, we would sit there and around a table, rolling dice, making characters, and adventuring all the way through it and having a grand old time. It was something that was... It didn't make us think of the world. It made us forget about the world's troubles and forget what was going on in our actual lives. And we were able to sit there and play and do things that a lot of people wouldn't understand if you've never really dove into that. But it also led to other games and wanting outlets for other styles of role-playing. And I used to also be a live-action role player, or otherwise known as a LARPer. And I gotta say, those were probably some of the times that they weren't as good as Dungeons and Dragons. There was always, they still had their cliques, like with any grouping and anything like that. But I used to actually play Vampire the Masquerade. I used to be an avid White Wolf player. I used to play Vampire the Masquerade. I kind of did Werewolf. I found more fun with vampires. And we did do Mage, live action Mage at some point in our lives. And I gotta say, some of the games were quite entertaining. It was to the point that I dove into it that I have multiple books of this White Wolf series. I've got tabletop versions of them, and I even had one of the lore books behind it all, and to the point where I actually helped organize and run certain events, but I didn't do that for very long. I only did that for a few months. I just found it was just not something that I was capable of doing with the White Wolf stuff, because there's a lot that goes into storytelling and organizing these events, a lot more than what I was privy to try and do at a very young adult age. These were probably some of the funnest things that I did in my life. They let me open up more as a person. They let me be more of myself and actually dramatize the way things are in today's world, and let me have that insight away from the world and fantasy and all this other stuff. And when we played these games, we never thought that it was evil or if it was bad to play them. It actually became an outlet, and it was a place that you could be creative. You could sit there and do a lot of other things. You could learn different ways to act and how your character would evolve and everything like that. So it was very, very unique experience to play a lot of them. Obviously, with today's world events, you cannot sit there and do live action role playing. It's just not in the cards to play in person of big groups without being in like a hazmat suit or something like that, because of the way certain things go on in the world, unless you're in one of those places that doesn't give a care to the world and is letting people just roam free. These were things that I did. They're part of my past, and they're part of who I am today. Without them, I probably wouldn't have a outgoing sense. I probably wouldn't take up like leadership roles in working, or even being able to sit there and comprehend and do this channel and make things for you guys and actually have fun and entertain and everything like that. So without that little bit of past history, it probably wouldn't have been where I am today. I probably wouldn't have a YouTube channel. I probably wouldn't be so outgoing and speaking my mind and actually sitting there and telling you guys that, you know, come watch and do this and hopefully be entertaining and everything forward. And it really gets your mind thinking on what's going on. And why did I decide to make this video? Well, part of it is I recently saw some equation of World of Warcraft being some of the most evil things in the world. And I remember back in the day when we used to play Magic the Gathering and it was seen as satanic or demonic, and same with D&D. I actually at one point had a letter from my landlord be written to me telling me what I'm doing is absolutely evil and it's demon worshiping and I should repent my sins and all this other thing. And I went and I laughed. I don't have that letter today and I still wish I do, but it probably got tossed just as easily as it was written. It was something that I just sat there. And when I read it to my friends and they had a laugh from it as well. And that's not what this is. If you've got a good group of friends and you can sit there and role play and you can build up characters and immense a fantasy world that goes on for a long time. I think our longest campaign was over 2 years in D&D. Just doing it. Like, yeah, you take time jumps, but I'm talking 2 years real life playing, to the point where I actually was living with the people that I played with, and we were roommates, and that's what we did on like a Friday or Saturday night. Hell, we'd do it during the week if we didn't have to work the next day type of thing, and we did a lot of that. And, you know, not everyone can go out and go to the clubs and have a good time. And in all honesty, that was probably the best times and some of the funnest times I've ever had is sitting there being able to roll dice and fight the dragons and do these things. I gotta say, when you get into White Wolf, it is a very different entity than like D&D. You're doing rock, paper, scissors, and there's certain other rules that are in there. And it is a different sense of rules and responsibility and having to do these live action role playings. I've even done live action to the point where we would sit there and they would rent an entire campground. You would pay a certain amount to go to these things, and it was 3 days from start to finish where you're role playing. In most cases was a medieval setting, and you're actually sitting there on an adventure and you would go through quests and all these things, and it was a fun filled time. If you guys ever do get that in the future, I do suggest it, because it's more than just camping. It's completely different. Everyone has a great time. Everyone has fun doing these events. You're a little scared at first, but when you dive into them and the amount of fun, and you're there with people that do it also, it's kind of what makes it unique and fun and very entertaining to do. So in all honesty, when it comes down to, I'm not embarrassed that I used to play these things. I'm not. It was some of the best things that I've done with my free time, and it actually, you learn a lot more. You do things, you learn how to interact with people in situations that you can't always be in. And so if in the future this world event does go away, I do suggest maybe trying some role-playing or doing live action stuff, because it does give you a different outlook on the way you can look at things. It gives you a different way that you can project yourself and do things very differently in the world today. If it wasn't for these, I probably wouldn't, like I said, even have the balls to sit there and do this YouTube channel, and that is why I do this today. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, let me know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you know, we'll go through some other history lessons of my life, and maybe you can take something from it. If you were entertained, don't forget to like and subscribe again. If you want to help support the channel as well, there is Patreon and memberships down below. Don't forget to look at them. And until next time, you guys have a great day.